Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us for week 3 of the Family Success Strategies for COVID-19. It's good to have people with us. We are recording, we are streaming to our Facebook page, so we may have some people joining us in either place. Let me do just a little bit of Zoom etiquette first for us. One is please mute your microphone if you're not talking. That will help us to avoid having background noises that come across and interfere, and also an echo that will create a squeal. We love for you to have your cameras on because we love to see the faces of those we are interacting with. It's most like real interaction. If you're not comfortable with that, you can always cut it off by clicking the stop video button, which is usually either on the lower left-hand side on your computer or the upper right-hand side on a device. Please know we are recording the meeting and live streaming to our Facebook page. So this will be saved for later. If there are things that you would not want saved and shared that way, if you ask a question or make a comment, please note that. And there. Also, over on the right-hand side, if you click the little chat bubble at the bottom, you will get a chat page that comes up on one side of your screen. On devices, sometimes you have to tap and go to the chat from a menu. But you can type a question or make a comment. I will also be putting in information that gets shared some here in that box so that you can copy it and get it and not have to try to remember the phone number or the website or whatever as we go. There is the ability to send a chat box only to a particular person. We ask you to do that only if you're trying to make an appointment or ask a question. Please don't hit up and try to chat up people you don't know here doing this. So welcome everybody. The Family Success Center is a family resource center, and our goal is to make every family in Etowah County and in our community safe, stable, and strong. So we're hosting these conversations every week on different topics to try to help us get through what we're experiencing. Today's version is the education version. Many parents have become homeschool parents and are trying to do lessons and keep up with things with their child. It's also a lot of togetherness with families and children in ways that there haven't been before. So we want to share some tips and some ideas for things. And so let's start with some elementary ideas. Dina Thacker is going to talk. She is our Safe and Successful Program Director. She's going to talk about some ideas of things you can do with your children who are younger. So take it away, Dina.
Hey everyone, glad to be with you. I have 2 grandchildren that I am keeping a lot, and it is some stressful times. So I've tried to come up with some activities that I've been doing with them, and they seem to enjoy, and so hopefully this will help you. Some of the first things we like to do is we use our senses. So for me to play games with them, a lot of times I'll just get some objects in the house. We'll lay them all out. I have them close their eyes, and then they have to choose. I'll pull one out, and then they have to see if they can guess which one is missing. That just keeps up with problem-solving skills. Difficulty, you can make it as hard as you want to or as easy as you want to, but that just helps with the sight part of your senses. The tasting, we'll get different objects in the house, and I just let them taste different things and see if they can figure out what it is. It can be different spices. It can be things out of the refrigerator that you can put in and do, and it's a fun activity. They enjoy it. I sometimes will throw in something like chocolate pudding, which you know they all love that. So they usually know. I have one that that's all he eats is sweets. So he is totally into the chocolate pudding. They can write letters with the chocolate pudding. They can use different things with their feeling and their touching. We also will do some things with rice. They can write letters in the rice. They can do sounds. They can just draw in it. Rice, beans, all kinds of salt, anything that you have laying around the house that you can just dump in a box and let them have at it. So we'll do that. We also will do some things, hearing sounds. I will put them in another room, and then I might clomp with hard boots on and say, what sound are you hearing? I may shake a salt shaker. I may knock on a door, those kind of things. So you be creative, just anything you see lying around and think, hey, that's slurping a straw. See if they can figure out that you're drinking out of a straw. Anything like that that just makes them think a little above just the normal sitting down writing papers and things, because I have a grandson that's in the 2nd grade, and that is not his thing, is to sit there all day and do the homework. So I've tried to be a little more creative with that. Hunt for small items. You can do a scavenger hunt in the house, do it by sounds. You can have words written on index cards and have them find the objects to keep up with their sight words, their reading skills. We do play with water. You can give them in the bathtub, give them tons of measuring cups, and you can have a full cup and let them pour how many half cups it takes to go. All that can be done while they're taking a bath, which is a lot of fun because you're knocking 2 things out at one time. You're teaching them, but yet you're also letting them, getting them nice and clean. And so we'll use any kind of objects. You can do floating, sinking, let them guess what will float in the water, what's going to sink. Grab all kinds of things. We did leaves the other day. My grandson was like, wonder if this leaf sinks. And I said, well, throw it in that water and see. And so he was like, nope, doesn't. So just, I'm having to be creative. And so I know it's hard, but we can all get through this together. Slime, not my favorite, but my grandkids love slime. So we put it outside. We get something and just put it out on the carport and just let them go with slime and then clean it up. And then I dump it in the garbage can. That way I don't have to see it again. Play-Doh, there are recipes on the internet to make your own Play-Doh. It is so much better than the Play-Doh that you buy in the store, and it's a lot easier to make, and you can put it in a container, keep it sealed up, and it will last forever. Play-Doh is one of those things that you can do so many things with, and I usually put it on a cookie tray, put foil on top of it, and then just let them build. They have to stay on the cookie tray. Cannot get it in the floor or anything. So cook it right when I'm cooking and stuff. It's a good activity to be doing. We are cooking a lot of things together. It can be really simple things like chocolate pudding. It can be anything they want. My grandson came up with, I had a chicken casserole and he wanted to cook a sauce. Well, he dumped everything in the kitchen sink and then I had to eat it. So, you know, it was okay, but I was like, I couldn't eat very much of it. But just to let him measure and put the things in and see that it's cooking, but you supervise when you've got the heat on cooking and stuff. We did do something that was really cool. We did s'mores. We took a pizza box, cut out the top of the pizza box, covered it up with foil, put it out in the hot sun, got our graham crackers and our chocolate and our marshmallow, stuck it in that pizza box with the foil, put a little stick in the corner to keep it up, and let it sit out in the sun, and it melted all the s'mores, and they loved it. It was something easy, but something that was a lot of fun to do. And then we had a picnic, threw out an old blanket, and ate our s'mores and had things outside. That was a fun activity to do also. Fun things, card games, any of those things we have.
We're experiencing a little bit of technical difficulty, I think. Let me see if Dina can work on that. I'm going to go to Teresa and let her talk about middle school students and ideas of things they can do with children who are a little bit older.
Absolutely. I'm excited to be here. I talk to my middle school students, I think, about anger and frustration and things to do with that more than anything. When I am in the schools, they seem to want to talk about that a lot. And I've thought about that since we have been on lockdown, is what a lot of kids are calling it. And thinking about them being inside with their parents, and I don't know if most families are doing like our family, but my kids, or actually it's just my daughter at home now, she's been helping us with a lot of different tasks, and some more than what we normally expect of her, while she's studying and doing some things for college. So I can understand how some kids are getting frustrated with being inside and being at home. And so specifically because I also do discuss this in school a lot, and we do talk about anger, I thought I would try to talk about some things that would be fun to kind of work into discussing those topics with your parents, which for a lot of students is very difficult for them. They do not want to talk to their parents about their feelings when they're in middle school. And so that's something we really want to get into as a middle school student going into high school. It's very important that students begin to talk to, and hopefully already are, but begin to talk to their parents about how they're feeling inside, and especially if they are dealing with frustration and anger. And more than often, absolutely, they need to be talking to their parents. And someone, if it isn't their parents, but their parents would be fantastic people to talk to. And the first thing I came up with was a really simple exercise that they can do with their parents that may cause some of them frustration, especially if they're competitive. It's called 11 Up, and you can do this with only 2 people. And it's a simple game where one person, whether it's the parent or the child, says go, they count to 3, and then you hold up just random number of fingers on your hand. And you're trying to come up with the number 11 on your hands. And you might have to do it 6 or 7 times before you actually come up with that number. And in some cases, kids might not come up with it, and it might frustrate them completely. And some kids get really upset. I've noticed that even in the most simple games, that some students get terribly upset. And in this time, it's a good opportunity to talk to that child about why is it that they're so upset? What is it that's so frustrating to him or her? It just opens that door, that window to say, okay, let's talk about this. But it's also, it can be fun too. And then of course, it's very simple. So if you wanted to bring in, you know, a younger sibling, or play it with a grandparent or whatever, something fun, but it's really just kind of like the springboard to the next thing. And another activity that's kind of gets into the talking aspect of it would be a thing called a calm preserver, like a life preserver. Basically, it's where you and your student sit down and you draw a life preserver on the table, and or on a piece of paper on the table, and not on your table, because that will cause frustration for a parent. And on the life preserver, or around the life preserver, you write things that cause you frustration or make you angry. And for some students, they might not write really, you know, intense things in the beginning, because this is going to be something hopefully that they will work into. Some people in the beginning, I think a lot of students test us and see what they can actually say without getting into much trouble. And once they realize that how we'll react, then they might, you know, go into things a little bit deeper with us. But, you know, my sibling, you know, irritates me, or things like that. So when you write those things that make you irritated, then on the life preserver or the calm preserver, next to that thing that makes you upset, you write what it is that helps you to calm down. Whatever it is in that specific situation that helps. If it is a sibling that is coming into your room and while you're playing a video game and you're on live, that sibling bothers you during that time, whatever the solution is to that, without getting in trouble, you write that down and try to understand that it's that thing that helps, not the yelling and the screaming. And those things kind of just help to remind us also of how to handle things calmly. And then coming up with those things while you're doing that, while you're working on that life preserver. That's a big thing. We talk about different ways to calm down, and it's a great opportunity for a parent and a student, because a lot of times the students have wonderful ideas that help me. And I have not heard of things, some of the things they come up with, I learned from them. So, and I've tried, we call them techniques and strategies that they have that I've really learned from too. So it might even help the parents. In this time, we need everything we can get. So whether it's reading a book or walking outside, a lot of students say when they're really upset, they just walk outside and lay on their trampoline and look up at the sky. And I thought, wow, I've never really done that before, and have tried it because we had a trampoline at one time, and it really is relaxing, and it got me away from the situation that had frustrated me. And so just writing down those things, and like, again, opening that door, the opportunity to talk to a parent about what really makes them upset or angry, because that parent might not even realize that thing that makes them upset. And then the last thing is this, and it's a more specific thing, and it's really what my program and the curriculum that I use is based off of, and it's called the if-then plan. And everything in their curriculum is based on a situation, and you write down whatever the situation is, and then you write, if this happens, then I will do this. And that can be really difficult for some students because you're basically looking at a cause and effect or a stipulation. What would happen if I do this? What is the consequence of it? And we discuss that a lot in our program, my program in the middle schools. And at times it can be a not so great answer. If this happens at school, then I usually do this. And that actually is a great thing too, because it gives other students time to input what would be a better thing to do. How could I do this differently? And so what we do is a if-then journal. And this is kind of like a really, maybe after you've started talking to your student, maybe some parents just don't, and this would be a thing that you kind of work into, because when they journal, maybe you would write about the day before. Something happened the day before, and they write out the situation, what happened, and then how they handled it. And then you write then how you would handle it today. Learn from the day before, how did you handle it incorrectly, and then how maybe you could handle it better. And then some days you'll look back and say, oh, well, you handled it great. And it's a great opportunity for the parent to encourage their student and say, that's a wonderful thing that you did yesterday. I try to always remember with my kids, like most parents do, to praise them as much as I correct them. And that can be really difficult at times, especially when we're all locked in the house together. To say, I noticed you put the dishes away. Thank you so much. I am so tired of washing all those dishes and putting them away. So maybe we need to write our own if-then journal. If you put the dishes away, then I will praise you for it. Then I will bake you some cookies tonight. So anyway, I just thought those are some really simple ideas, and maybe it'll help somebody, and we won't all just be at odds during this time.
Thank you so much, Teresa. I didn't get a chance to introduce you when we first started that, but Teresa runs our PEACE program, which is a middle school program, helping kids deal with their emotions, especially their anger. We lost Dina suddenly earlier with a little glitch with our wonderful internet here at the Family Success Building. She's back. I'm gonna let her pick up where she was and finish with her tips for our younger kids.
And maybe I can remember where that was. We'll just start over. I was like, okay, I lost everybody. But again, it's just having fun, enjoying this time together. We are all so busy most of the time with our lives going on. And I have found that it has been nice sometimes just to be relaxed and to enjoy, because we're not always able to just enjoy everything. So it's been nice to come up and have a lot of fun with my grandkids. And I even have been cooking, which is very unusual. And so, you know, that's been interesting. My kids are like, well, Mom, you can really cook. And I'm like, well, yeah, I really can. And so that has been fun to do some things like that. But one thing I want you to remember with your children, 10 minutes of reading every day can be so beneficial for your children. And I have found a wonderful thing that I never pay attention to, but there are YouTube read aloud books online. And if you have a hard time getting the children to sit down and read, and they go all the way up, it can be intermediate too, and they'll read the books. And there are some wonderful, wonderful read aloud books. One lady was visiting the Wright brothers at Kitty Hawk in North Carolina, and she was able to show them the first plane and all that, and the book was really good, and she tied it all in. Another lady was reading a book about a frog, so they were sitting at a little pond and they were hunting frogs. And so I think it'll get your children interested. Short books, but they can, right before bedtime, they can watch those and enjoy those. And there are some things called story bots that are also on the internet that you can have, and games and things. I try to keep my grandchildren off the internet as much as I can because they are stuck on Roblox. He would play for hours. And so I've tried to do more of the read aloud books and things on the internet too, and games. But hope this helps. Hope you have fun, enjoy this time, and hopefully we all will not be stuck in a whole lot longer since the weather is so pretty. But hope you have fun. If you have any questions, let me know. Thank you so much.
All right. Okay, so Emma Hazelwood does our Healthy Relationships program at Family Success, including with our juveniles, with students high school students. And so she was sharing some information, but she is not in a position where she can share that information. So she sent it to me, and I'm going to share it with you all this morning. When we talk about our high school students, please understand that this is an extremely difficult time for teenagers. Teenagers are inherently social. They travel in groups and herds, and they are now cut off from those. And it's incredibly difficult for them. And whereas we can understand why we're even struggling with doing that, so they're going to struggle with it as well. Be sure to give them a little bit of space and time to do that, and understand that they're grieving for things that they've lost, for graduations, for sporting events, for proms, for dances, for those kinds of things. It's a hard thing to lose for them. And even though there's a good reason for it, it still doesn't mean there's not a reason to grieve and that they're not going to be unhappy about it. So Emma suggests that as you're dealing with your high school students, especially your seniors, they hate missing that graduation ceremony. So make a big deal out of it and hold your own graduation ceremony. Dress up, take the photos, go out in your backyard, create a stage. You can download the song Pomp and Circumstance and play it on your phone. Don't just stage the picture, have the graduation. And you could, by inviting people to your graduation event on something like Zoom, you could invite family and friends and neighbors to come and watch your personal graduation party happen. You can then post it on social media so everyone can join you in celebrating your graduate and what was going on. For those who are still having to do some school, try to stick to a schedule. I mean, it's okay to let your teen sleep a little bit later than normal. You can set a little bit of your own schedule, but give them a decent time to wake up. Let's get dressed, let's have breakfast, let's get ready for the school portion of the day, and try to keep phone use to a minimum while you're trying to knock out those school assignments that you need to do. It'll just make it take longer. It'll just make them wish they weren't having to do school, which they do. So limit the phone use, but then let them stay in touch with their friends as much as they want or can or is reasonable during those other times. A lot of teens are feeling frustrated by their lack of social life at this time. So help them set up something. One of the suggestions Emma gives us is to let them have a Netflix party with their friends. So everybody watches the same movie or the same show at the same time, but then they're doing it together from their own locations, and they can chat about it and talk. You could also help them set up ways to see their friends. Most of our teenagers probably know how to do that. They were helping us figure out how to use this video stuff. But if not, help them find a way to connect so that they can see each other. There's Google Hangouts, there's Zoom, there's all sorts of programs that are out there. And then give them a little bit of privacy while they're visiting with their friends, in the same way you wouldn't sit in the room. If they had 3 friends over, they would go to their room or to the basement or the backyard or wherever and hang out. Give them that same kind of space to hang out with their friends now. They can even play online games together. There are a lot of those. My younger son is just an ace at that. And they do a lot of that together, and it's a social time. So you want to check it out. You want to be sure your kids are safe. You want to make sure they're not getting themselves into a vulnerable situation. And the younger they are, the more of that you'll need to do. But you can't stay right on top of them every minute. You're going to have to give them just a little bit of space to hang out like they would before. And Emma wants to caution us to be sure that we validate their disappointment. This is a difficult time. Don't minimize it. Don't try to tell them it doesn't matter. Don't tell them that in the grand scheme of things, the fact that they didn't get a graduation is not that big of a deal. Don't tell them how other generations have had it harder, because none of that makes any difference to them. They're still missing what they're missing. Just allow them to miss it and be unhappy about that. There are lots of people missing a lot of things, and we're all unhappy about it, and we all have the right to be unhappy and experience our feelings. One of the things that you could do with some of this extra time when they can't do things is you can learn a new skill. It's a good time to learn life skills. So if the busyness of school and sports and after-school activities and church and everything makes it difficult for you to have had time to show them how to make a bed, how to do their laundry, how to load the dishwasher, how to cook a meal, how to balance a checkbook, all of those kinds of things, now's a really good time to do that. You might actually have a life skill of the day and choose something. Today we're going to work on this. This was one of my favorite ideas that she suggested, was have your own home version of Chopped, the show. Like, grab a few ingredients from your kitchen and then see which of you can make the most creative or the most delicious meal with those items. Maybe there's something your child has been interested in, but either their school didn't offer or there hadn't been time to do, and now they have an opportunity to explore that. It might be writing, it might be graphic design, it might be carpentry. There are lots of things that you now have some time to explore. You can research it together. You can find a way to check out new and potential hobbies as well. Family time is important, and we're spending a lot of that, but you want to allow your teen to have space. That's very crucial. You want them to be able to talk about their concerns, but also allow them to grieve the things that they've lost. There are several gyms in town if you're looking for physical activity and a way to handle that frustration and fill the time and not just fill it with eating. There are a lot of gyms, including Absolute Fitness here in town, which is posting workouts online. So you can stay active by doing those workouts right from home. Bored teens are usually not happy teens. They want to stay busy, they want to stay doing something. But keep an eye out for depression. This can be truly difficult for some of our kids. If they're wanting to sleep all day, or if they're always irritable or sad, if they're just struggling with day-to-day activities, then they may be experiencing depression. Have open and calm communication with them about what you're seeing, what you're observing. Give them room to share how they're feeling, and don't be afraid to reach out for help. I made myself a note over here to remind y'all that we still have services operating from Family Success. We're having to use these kinds of programs to do that with, but our family counselor, Africa Bell, is still available to do meetings and consultations with people. Emma Hazelwood is still offering financial stability coaching, and we're looking at ways of doing relationship education and training using these methods as well. So thank you, Emma, for ideas with our high school students. I have just a couple of ideas to share of my own. I'm going to see if I can share my screen. Let's see how this goes. Okay, I want to share which screen? This one maybe. Okay, we'll try it. Okay. What are y'all seeing ABC on there? Somebody nod at me. Are y'all seeing?
Mine's still loading. There you go.
Okay. So this was an idea that came to us through our supervised visitation program. But this is an interactive website called ABCia. It's kind of for the younger kids, but it's interactive. They can do things. And so you could actually get on the computer together. And even if you're doing this by distance, you could both pull up the website and be talking about clicking on things, or one of you could share the screen like this. The other thing with tons of free resources is Khan Academy. Lots of things to explore there, and they've made a lot of things. It's all free. Lots of things, like if you're struggling with the algebra or the history or even that, there's a lot of good things here, plus a lot of other things like hobbies and extracurricular kind of stuff. And my last resource here is called Early Education at Home. You would have to order this, or I don't see a download a Kindle option. Many of you know that my family homeschooled, and so we used this with our kids when they were little. But Early Education at Home is a curriculum guide for like preschool and kindergarten, but it had themes. So like week 1 was the letter A and the color red, and so it gave you tons of activities for things that wearing the color red, looking for things like an I Spy that's red. We made applesauce, we made apple bread, we made apple butter, all sorts of things. This was the first place that we did bird feeders with peanut butter and bird seed. But there's a theme for all of them, and then it later on adds a number, and so you look for that number all day long. But you could do that, and you have to order it. The paperback is only $4.24. The spiral bound is only around $15. So it'd be really easy to have Amazon shoot you that really quickly and have some additional ideas if you're struggling. All right. Thank you, ladies, all for being here with us this morning. Are there any questions? I'm going to unmute everybody and see. Anybody have a question for anyone? Okay. All right. Well, thank you all for being with us today. We hope this has been helpful. Our live streaming to Facebook did not work today. I think it has to do with our internet connection here at Family Success. We're a little challenged in that area. But this video will be saved, and it will be posted and on our YouTube channel and linked to the Facebook page shortly this afternoon. Next week, we'll do another one of these Tuesday at 10 o'clock. We're going to be talking about how to visit with somebody that you can't be physically present with, and Misty Sosby Ledbetter, our supervised visitation director, will be here for that. Thank you all. Stay safe, stay well, stay at home. We will get through this. Y'all have a great day.